Welcome to Libation Domination, the digital marketing and e-commerce podcast for the wine and spirits industry. Diving into real-world digital strategies that connect you to your customers and actually make money. And now, here's your hosts, Shem, Swerkes, and Justin Noland.
Welcome back to Libation Domination, and we are diving into some real-world digital strategies today with part 2 of top 10 trends in digital marketing for the wine industry for 2021. Let's dive in. So number six on the top 10 digital marketing trends for 2021, we have voice.
Voice is cool. And I think it's cool for a number of things. So, you can look at the technology side of it, which I think is something that we've talked about a lot, but I almost think about it from a trend perspective, right? Voice is one of those things that is bringing emotion back into digital interaction. You look at what's happened over the last year or so, even America's Got Talent winner, right? It was a spoken word, guy talking, but bringing emotion. We saw in the inauguration, Amanda Gorman's incredible poetry, and bringing, literally bringing the house down with that spoken word of what she's bringing and what she's talking about. And I think that it's connecting people on a more human level. We're certainly seeing it in podcasts and people having conversations. We're certainly the quick rise of Clubhouse as a new social channel that, quite frankly, I'm not sure everybody even understands where it can go and what it can do, but it's literally bringing people together to have conversations and to be able to listen to other people's conversations. Whether you find that interesting or not is up to you, but there's a lot of power and emotion in actually hearing somebody else talk, and hearing somebody else's passion. And it comes across so much stronger in the actual voice and hearing it. And you don't need to be overproduced. You don't need to have this broad video format and all of these other things. It's literally, it feels very raw and feels very emotional. But it's also being seen as what's the next level of optimization, right? I mean, it's also saying how can we utilize this in search? How can we utilize this in at-home experiences with things like Alexa and Google Home, which I'm probably just going to set off my Alexa. But that being said, there's so many applications to it, but I find the trend to be that it's an emotional reaction and it's creating emotions in the digital universe.
Yeah, as humans, we often crave interaction. We crave relationships, and yeah, you hit it so key so Clubhouse is very interesting to me. I'm not dropping everything to go, drive business on Clubhouse right now. I mean, if you go on Clubhouse, you'll hear a lot of people talking about how people are leaving Facebook and these other platforms. They're not. Let's just be real. The amount of users still, some 3, almost 4 billion active users on Facebook compared to the 10 million or so, or whatever it is now on Clubhouse. There's still a huge disparity and still a lot to learn there. But just to look at what's happening and how quickly it's growing, its growth rate right now, and to think that you can get on a platform and have a conversation, just kind of liken it in your mind, the relationship to a podcast. Podcasts are super hot. So you think about a podcast, but then you think about what happens on radio when you actually have callers. So where you get when you get a person on a Clubhouse room or whatever platform, because there's going to be more of them. Mark Cuban's got one coming. Facebook's working on something. Twitter's working on something. So when you get someone that you want to talk to on a platform, someone that you maybe could not connect with in any other way, and you're able to have your voice heard and you're able to become a part of the conversation, that's a pretty huge deal. Number 7, conversational marketing.
This is again, so I think this is has been talked about for years and continues to be talked about, while at the same time it's actually being utilized effectively today. And that's what makes it a trend in 2021, is that the actual utilization of conversational marketing and thinking about how I can deliver information to my customers faster and immediate, and get them what they need to be able to make a purchase or make a reservation, or just simply know what they're trying to know. And delivering that in a unique and branded and experiential way without necessarily needing a person on the other end to continue to follow it. So whether that's building a chat bot on the website, or delivering it through Messenger, or creating an SMS kind of experience. To me, it's all about that utility of being able to get customers the information at the time that they need it, without necessarily having to constantly have somebody available for conversations.
Yeah, messenger marketing is one of those things. It's almost like email, in a sense that you own your data. You're going to own that list, that audience, but don't make the mistake that you send messages like it's email, because it really does need to be a conversation. And I'll say I've used it quite a bit for Amazon ranking campaigns. I actually used it to create a fitness type where people were doing their workouts and able to choose different things. So there's a lot of different type of applications. But I would say for the wine industry, especially, even if all it serves is a place, like if you were to be able to translate your FAQs, for example, in a thoughtful, easy to find way in a messenger solution. So instead of looking at a long list of FAQs, you understand when a customer comes to you through your messenger, what things you need to ask to make sure they get what they need to know very quickly. That's something that people who respond to messenger marketing are very appreciative of.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing anybody wants is to have made a effort to reach out to a company and say, I've got a question, and then wait and wait and wait and hopefully get an answer at some point, right? So I mean, that's got to be the easiest return on your dollar spent to create something, by simply making it a better experience for your customers.
Yeah, and I will say that one of the number one things that I hear that gives a little pushback to chatbots and messenger marketing is people are a little leery of, we're going to be replacing people, or we're going to miss out on that interaction, that personal interaction. And it's actually not true, because we're not looking, a chatbot's purpose is not to replace the person. It's to quickly get the information that you want at their fingertips. So the easy to answer things, the things that come up over and over that you don't necessarily need that personal interaction with. And then when you get to a point where, yes, personal interaction is needed, then there needs to be a thought process on how that's handed off and how you actually get them in touch with someone who can help them.
Right. I mean, there's a big difference between going on Messenger and asking, what time are you guys open today? Versus going on Messenger and saying, I want to talk to somebody about my Uncle Ted's reunion, and we want to have 20 people, and we want to do this really fun thing, and are there cool experiences? Like, obviously that is how do we connect with a human, and how do we create a unique experience for this customer? But the vast majority of those inquiries are going to be stuff that they can answer very quickly and succinctly, and customers appreciate speed. Everybody does. Don't waste anybody's time.
Yeah. Like, are you even doing events right now? Are you hosting events? Like, can you accommodate up to this many people? Some of those even preliminary questions can be handled by a chatbot. And then that, not only does it kind of get the information to them quicker, but it makes sure at the end of the day, you're getting them to the correct person who can actually help them. So number 8, virtual engagement.
Virtual engagement is, I mean, it's got to be like the thing that 2020 spurned, right? Like that just, this is what it is. Everybody has to do it now. And we saw some really, really great virtual engagements. We saw some really phenomenal tasting experiences and tours of the vineyard via drones and all sorts of really cool stuff. And we saw some pretty terrible things as well, right? But at the same time, it was a great learning experience for so many different members of our community. Certainly in how do we create a virtual experience? How do we scale virtual experiences? Does a virtual experience even need to be about the wine, or is it more about the customer and what their needs are, and how do we entertain them? But anyway, you look at it, that's another one where it's the cat's out of the bag. People are going to be looking for some of this stuff. We've chatted with agents that are doing the bookings for concert tours and things like that, and everybody's still saying, maybe 2022. We're probably looking at 2023. So at least for 2021, creating virtual environments that allow people to have a really cool, entertaining experience that connects with your brand is going to be huge.
Yeah. What do you think is the number one thing that you need to be concerned with or think about when planning out your virtual events?
Yeah. So, obviously, if you're selling nationwide, and you want to be able to include people that are buying your products from all over the place, thinking about timing, and understanding that you might need to run 2 or 3 different events of the exact same thing just to ensure that it hits the different time zones at appropriate times. Obviously, if you're doing some kind of tasting or some sort of mechanism where you want somebody to have the wine already, you want somebody to actually be enjoying your product. So not necessarily launching a product and saying, hey, tomorrow we're going to have a virtual tasting, because nobody's going to have it. But I think the most important part is to be thoughtful about whether it's interesting and whether it's fun, not necessarily, overdoing too much of like the background experience or overdoing your sets and creating this thing, but making it interactive and engaging and fun for people. Even if it's playing games and getting people, excited about it ahead of time, saying, okay, cool. Now that we've all like broken the ice a little bit, here's what we're going to be doing, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I'll say that probably one of the funnest ones I was on was with the Jana Kramer release of that brand and the virtual tasting there. It's so, something that I thought, just based on seeing kind of her audience, I thought it was going to be more of an event that was just, circled around the females. And it wasn't. Like, she pulled in the husbands, she pulled in the significant others, and was able to get everybody engaged in a thoughtful way. And even talking about, I guess it's a situation where you kind of read the room and understand that maybe we talk about like what we're working on here. Maybe we talk about what's next with this brand, what wines are coming up, how we're releasing them. Maybe we talk about what does our audience want to see from us? What kind of content do they want? What questions do they have? And maybe you end up giving them a discount that they got nowhere else just because they asked for it. And then now they have this really strong connection and affinity with your brand because they're like, that's really cool that I just asked for something on this call and you gave it to me.
Yeah. So your point made me think of another big key, having a charismatic host. Think about it like it's a television game show, right? Like, having somebody that maybe they're not like the main course of what's going to happen, but is super charismatic, that can talk through and get people engaged and have some fun with it. I think it's really important. I mean, think about it in the way that you think about television production and game shows, and just having somebody with the ability to speak and have charisma and have passion and get people engaged is awesome.
Yeah. So number 9. Digital advertising.
It's funny to think of this as a trend for 2021, but it is, and it certainly is for the wine world, because there is such little on-site activation and such little on-site engagement programs and things that are available. Obviously, that'll change and will continue to grow and be able to do more things. But I think that it still is 2020 was an eye-opening opportunity to get people started and get people thinking about it and get people doing it for the first time, and having some of them have some success. So having success in this is definitely going to continue to propagate more and more people utilizing digital ads. But I think it goes back to that number 5. And being data driven and understanding what your returns are versus so many of the other things that you maybe were able to continue doing, but probably weren't. And this is just how much money can I spend to acquire a new customer? How much money can I spend to, acquire a new club member? What does that look like? How does that make sense?
And we felt like we really needed to put this on here because with changes coming with iOS, with Facebook changing the way that they track data, and it looking like there may be less data available in some places, we needed to put this on here because it needs to be understood that digital advertising is still going to be super important. We may have to change our thought processes and may have to change the way we track things or the way we do things, using more coupon codes, using landing pages, certainly using, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me because I've been using the UTMs on URLs like since forever. But this is something that we should be doing already. But if you're not doing it, certainly start and using multiple platforms to get your information. So not like for Facebook, for example, not just using Facebook Ad Manager to check your analytics, but using also your CRM and using something like Google Analytics. So 3 different places that you could be getting data from and tying it all together, but still digital advertising, if people are going to jump off and stop doing Facebook ads or stop doing ads on Instagram or Pinterest or some of these other places just because it's more difficult to track, that just means the competition is going to go down and the cost is going to go down, which means that we should be doubling up.
Yeah, 100%. And, again, to me, it's weird to say it, right? But this is what pros in the digital world always do anyways. They always create the environment where they're using UTMs. They're always creating the environment where they're A/B testing. And they're essentially always skeptical of the data that they're getting, especially if they're getting it directly from a platform where attribution is always going to be built to say that the platform is doing the best thing that they possibly can. So, yeah, I mean, does it make it more difficult? Sure, of course. But I don't think this is, the changes that are happening, I don't think it really changes the strategy. It will hopefully lower the number of competitors, but I don't think it changes the strategy.
Yes. I mean, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. That's cliche, but it is true. So number 10, we're talking about cultural marketing.
Yeah. So this, again, I think has been a trend for years and isn't a marketing trend in the way that many of these other things are, but it's a trend in humanity. And it's a trend in what customers care about and what customers want to know and how people want to be treated, right? So the idea of cultural marketing is truly to ensure that as a brand, as a company, as in your people, your processes, everything that you're doing, you're looking at how to be more inclusive. You're looking at how to be more diverse. You are looking at causes that are authentic to you as a brand and you as an organization. And how can you be a better member of the community? Can you be supporting those causes in ways, maybe not monetarily even, but in ways that you're aligning with the belief systems that are authentic to you, and letting your customers know about that, making sure that they're aware that these things are part of who you are, because they care. They want to know. It's gone are the days that you can say I'm a business. None of this stuff matters. We don't comment on that. Like, okay, cool. You're going to lose customers because of that, and it may be one way or the other, right? Like that. It may very well be that you offend some people and don't offend others, but that's a level of authenticity that people truly want to know about.
Yeah, and I think that's the key point right there is that customers want to know. I mean, I know brands that have been, very involved in the community and giving back to charities for many, many years that just haven't really talked about it. But now that customers really want to know what the brands they purchase from are doing, they have to start talking about it. So when you think about it from that perspective, like how do you remain authentic? How do you talk about it in a thoughtful way?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I'd like to say there's an easy playbook for this kind of thing, and there really isn't. I think that marketers are going to do the best that they can. I mean, the idea that, you know, you did that donation entirely because you wanted to make a commercial about it, like, those are the kind of things that, you know, again, it's tough because there's that middle ground of, we want people to know what we care about and what we're doing, but we don't want it to be seen as purely this cliche commercial. So that's why I always say, you know, you take a step back and make sure that as an organization, you're doing the hard work, right? You're doing the hard work that around, you know, inclusivity, around diversity, around any of the other elements. And this is like, are you being sustainable? Are you being organic? What are the things that you care about? So even if it's not truly an area around, you know, culture and race and, you know, inclusivity, it could be around the, you know, operationally, how do we want to be better for the planet? How do we want to be a better partner for our local community? How do we want to be a better partner for the Appalachian or the wine community in general? You know, there's a lot of different elements that kind of drive home this idea of cultural marketing and allowing your customers to know more about who you are as an organization.
Yeah, and so there's that situation where no matter what you do, you probably will have critics and people who will, you know, come at you with something. It's just inevitable. I can't say that word, that you will have some critics. But I think the key here is really to keep your ears open and your mind open to your customers and understand how your customers feel about things. Keep a pulse on them first and foremost, and they'll give you feedback on what you're doing, if it sounds authentic or, you know, if it's not resonating with them. So there we have it. That's your top 10 digital marketing trends for 2021. Appreciate you listening to the show. Please like it. Please subscribe. And if you love this show, please share it with your friends. Until next time, I'm Shem Swerkes.
I'm Justin Noland.
Libation Domination. That's all I got.
Wow.
Thanks for joining us on Libation Domination, the digital marketing and e-commerce podcast for the wine and spirits industry. Make sure to visit our website at libationdomination.com and subscribe to make sure you don't miss an episode. We're here for you with real-world digital strategies that connect you to your customers and actually make money.